The importance of housing to man cannot be overemphasized. Housing is one of the three basic needs of mankind, and it is the most important for physical survival of man after provision of food. A deficiency in housing can profoundly affect the health, welfare and productivity of man. It is an indispensable necessity without which man's survival is impossible. That is why on this program I preach housing and housing affordability for all. This is Housing Development, your go-to source for housing information in Nigeria and beyond. I am your housing diva, Fleur Annie. Before we begin, as usual, let's go to our news desk for the news headlines. I'll be back in a moment. The federal government, through the National Social Housing Program, has received a boost with the endorsement of the President of the Association of Housing Corporations of Nigeria, Dr. Victor Onukwa. Speaking with Africa Housing News in Abuja on Wednesday, the President commended the federal government and said the project is capable of succeeding with adequate funding. He opined that the government would, aside creating adequate finance, need to also create an enabling environment that can on its own create funds.
There are some enabling environments that government can put in place that will make funds available. If they work with central bank and then the commercial banks and some of the primary mortgage banks to make loans, construction loan available at affordable at single-digit interest rate with long tenure. These are some of the ways.
Dr. Onukwa, however, said the AHCN has already selected 6 of its member bodies to drive the pilot scheme of building 300,000 homes and have signed a memorandum of understanding with Family Homes Funds, as the goal of rental and affordable homes is a common goal between both bodies. President of the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors, QS Abato, has lamented on the impact of the coronavirus on housing delivery. He said the COVID-19 has encumbered production costs and rates as it can no longer move at fast rates due to social distancing, lockdown directives, among others. He said the coronavirus has also greatly impacted construction costs, causing it to spike high. However, QS said the NIQS have come up with strategies to curb the effect of the construction costs and to improve housing delivery. One of such strategies, he said, was to embrace emerging technologies and online platforms to enable a convenient and effective approach to cut down costs and mitigate the effects of COVID-19 in the housing sector. Another strategy he revealed was a call to the government to liaise with cement manufacturers so as to give cement at discounted prices to more mass housing projects with high impact on the economy, such as the one applied to the mass housing project by the National Social Housing Projects. This, he said, would also greatly improve housing delivery. Niels Realty Limited, a fast-growing real estate company, recently performed its groundbreaking ceremony at Katampe Extension, Abuja. The MD CEO, Abubakar Sadiq Mohammed, said the project was aimed at providing eco-centric homes using renewable energy and recyclable products. He further said the company was working in partnership with a Turkish firm to provide quality eco-friendly materials, including green guard tiles. The Chief Operating Officer, Architect Agatha Irabo, said the company focuses on eco-friendly, energy-efficient and sustainable buildings. She continued by saying although there are already a lot of real estate firms, Niels Realty seeks to stand out by providing buildings that do not take a toll on the environment alongside an infusion of technology.
We are looking out to see that the houses are energy efficient, one. They are sustainable, basically eco-friendly. While you have automation also in the system. 3 basic things we are looking at: automation in the homes, energy efficient, and the buildings are generally sustainable.
Mr. Nadar Ahmad, one of the Turkish partners, said the construction industry was leading in Turkey. Thus, a fruitful collaboration between Turkey and Nigeria with assurances of future partnerships. While in a bid to key into the National Social Housing Program, the state governments of Osun and Kwara states have provided several acres of land to Family Homes Funds for the development of housing units across the states. The National Social Housing Program, which is Nigeria's government's response to the health and economic challenges of coronavirus, is going to provide 300,000 homes and 1.8 million jobs across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory. The program, which is implemented by Family Homes Funds, will cater mostly to Nigerians on low and middle income and create jobs which will help stimulate the economy and sustain millions of households.
I'm Debbie Erb. I work for OPIC in the United States, and keep watching the Affordable Housing Development Program.
For more information on housing, finance and construction news, visit www.africanhousingnews.com, your up-to-date housing news website. The provision of low-cost housing across Nigeria has been identified as a solution to the huge housing deficit in the country. Who are the people that are worst hit by the problem of housing? The low-income earners, everyone will say, but then how can we identify them? Now let's take a listen to this report.
Nigeria is one of the fastest urbanizing countries in the African continent, yet one of the core challenges facing the country is the provision of affordable housing. Evidently, there is an increasing rise in the housing deficit, which now stands between 17 and 20 million housing units at a growth rate of 900,000 units per annum. This is due to the fast population growth and urbanization, which will require at least 1,000 housing units and approximately $363 billion to curtail. As more Nigerians make towns and cities their homes, this deficit gap may be difficult to close up if the price of housing delivery continues to skyrocket, making it difficult to provide affordable houses to the low-income earning class of the country's population. The inability of housing supply to match housing demand most often results in acute housing shortage, leading to high property rental prices and overcrowding, as over 70% of the country's population are of the low-income earning groups.
What do you mean by housing affordability? The general concept is that any housing that is within 30% of the household income, that's the housing affordability. Affordability has nothing to do with poverty alone. It goes across all the spectrum of life. So somebody on level whatever, maybe level 17, also we look for something that is affordable for him.
It must, however, be noted that in fighting the hydra-headed monster of housing deficit, the interests of the low-income earners must be factored into any housing project and housing costs. The prices of houses should be affordable and payable by not only the middle and upper class of our society, but by the lower class who suffer the brunt of housing deficits and live in slums, shanties, and disease-prone areas. Interestingly, the new national minimum wage, which is 30,000 naira, amounts to 360,000 naira per annum. With this current economic reality in the country, over 65% of the Nigerian population still fall below the poverty line average of $2 per day.
As far as I'm concerned, the salary of the civil servant It's nothing to write home about. And when it comes to housing, the increase cannot go anywhere. Though the government have tried, they have listened to the cry of the general public. Well, this is a right move in the right direction. But then it is a far cry from reality.
But the issue is that there are no houses, affordable houses for that matter. When we're talking affordable houses, we're talking houses that you can just, within their range of salary, you can go down and negotiate. All the houses around now is, on top of the roof.
In recent times, the issue of housing affordability has taken a central position in our national discourse, especially among the housing experts and stakeholders who had, at different instances, called on the federal government to place emphasis on the building of low-cost houses for Nigerians and make them buy through rent-to-own basis. To address the problem of housing deficit squarely, government at various levels should adequately and effectively engage the private sector in the provision of low-cost housing for low-income earning Nigerians.
My advice one is that this affordable housing, they should see it as a social housing. Social housing is a part of affordable housing, and that social housing is a welfare program. It's a welfare program that is to take care of the needs of the needy. And so government should be part of it, making land available for them, not only in the rural areas, even in the city center. They should do that and then provide infrastructure so that somebody, developer, can be able to build at an affordable price for the people we are talking about. And also there is something they call inclusionary zoning. That is, all the developers, they must mandate them that a percentage of their development should be for these people we are talking about.
In order to achieve the desirable houses that are within the range of 2 to 2.5 million naira, government can provide incentives for the private sector. These incentives can include tax abatements, grants, infrastructure assistance, little or no interest financing, free land, tax credits, and other financial resources. These are some of the measures employed by countries of the world that have crossed the past line in addressing their housing challenges. When this is implemented, there will be reduction in the end cost of houses and avail the vulnerable and low-income earners the opportunity to have a standard roof over their heads. This will no doubt improve the overall well-being of the members of the society, lower crime rates, and trigger a chain reaction that will impact greatly on the country's economy.
My name is Benga Al-Shafa, the Chief Executive of Federal Housing Authority. Keep watching Housing Program.
Timberlock Wood Preservative surpasses all preventive measures designed to permanently prevent the damage and quality reduction of wood and wood-based materials by termites, fungi, bacteria, and other boring insects. Use Timberlock Premium Wood Preservative to prevent, correct, and defend wood and wood materials against deformities caused by termites and other insects in the later days. Timberlock is designed to solve wood preservation challenges with a standard you can trust. Timberlock Wood Preservative kills termites instantly. Timberlock Wood Preservative, the wood preservative brand leader in Africa.
The provision of low-cost housing and identifying those at the low-income segment of the society who really need these houses is very imperative if we are to genuinely tackle the housing deficits in the country. Now, despite the housing deficit in the country, so many states in the Federation are littered with abandoned buildings, while some of the structures are actually under construction but are characterized by bushy growth in and around them. Some are old and dilapidated and partly roofed. It is even not uncommon to see some buildings dilapidating yet under construction. Housing development crew went out to the street of Abuja to seek the views of some Abuja residents on the environmental effect of abandoned buildings in the FCT. Take a look.
It is an understatement to say that there are a lot of abandoned buildings in Abuja. It cut across almost every state capital in the country. And the unfortunate thing is that most of these abandoned buildings have become den of robbers. You see, many of them now take solace in those places. And then at the unholy hour of the night, they come out and unleash, harm on the people, which is very unfortunate. I think government has a policy of addressing matters like that. And one of such policies is that for any building that is abandoned for more than a particular number of time, the government will just go and then seal up that place.
Honestly, it is a disadvantage to us in the city capital. And I would suggest, and I pray also that those that have been given this money to work on them will do so. And if they can't, they should make sure the place is properly locked in order not to allow these hoodlums enter.
If I am to suggest, I would suggest to the government that all such buildings should be optioned with a lesser amount that maybe the civil servant can even purchase them.
Government supposed to seize all those money where the people they thief and build houses anyhow. Where look now, people they are sleeping uncompleted, under bridge. People they are suffering. Some people now, like youth now, no place to put head. And my way you see all the estate, they are dumb estate there, nothing doing there. The government no fee ask why, where is money? Those people get that money. Government supposed to seize all those houses and give people low amount. I don't understand me. That's the thing what government supposed to do. And my government, there's no that the government now rich they are going rich, poor they are going poor. That's why you see masses now they are suffering. Not care about the masses. The people they are hanging over, people they are dying for many places.
I'm Leilani Farha, the UN Special Rapporteur, and I hope you'll keep watching the Housing Development Program.
There you have it from some Nigerians on Voices on the Street talking about abandoned buildings across the country. Just as they rightly said, most times these abandoned properties, unused buildings, are the settlement of miscreants and also a health hazard to the neighborhood. I'll be back in a moment.
Keep a date with Housing Development Program every week on TVC. Housing Development is the first and pioneer housing program in Nigeria and by extension Africa. It remains the authentic voice of the Nigerian housing and construction industry. Housing Development is the only credible and specialized platform for seasoned professionals in the build industry, where quality and credible players in the real estate sector meet to interact, showcase, and analyze government policies. It is no doubt that hundreds of thousands of prospective Nigerians who desire to own their personal properties have done so through the assistance of Housing Development Program in the last 10 years. If you are a stakeholder in the build industry, here is where you must be. We are authentic, credible, and supported by all the leading professionals in the build industry. Housing Development on TVC.
Welcome back. You're watching Housing Development. For the smooth operation of the construction industry professionals, the need for the National Building Code to be signed into law cannot be overemphasized. This will help in ensuring the physical structures and healthy conditions of buildings. That is why these experts are calling for the signing of the Building Code into law. Watch this.
A building code is a collection of laws, regulations, ordinances, or other statutory requirements adopted by a government legislative authority that is involved in assuring the adequacy of the physical structure and healthy condition of buildings, with the primary purpose regulating new or proposed construction structures and healthy condition of buildings. However, in Nigeria, there is an undeniable absence of a legal approved building code, which has in turn led to a chain of events of mishap and loss of lives and properties in the long run. Builder Bimbo Kolade, a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Building, said professionals have been clamoring for the code to be legally approved, all to no avail.
Nigeria as a country, it's a pity that up to today, we still don't have a code that guides housing or building production. And we've been clamoring since about 2003. Professionals in the beauty industry has been urging that the government should enact a building code.
He also attributed the cause of building collapse to the fact that there was no law in place to guide against quackery or illegal buildings, thus making it difficult to control.
When we are saying that buildings are collapsing in the country, or anybody are just coming into the practice to just pick it up and do whatever they like, without an enabling law that will guide the practice and all that, we still could not say that we have got there or we can bring it down.
Builder Wilson Odumbako, another fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Building, also lamented that without the backing of a legally authorized building code, prevention of building collapse was difficult.
Give an enforcement law to this code such that if anything happens, we can hold somebody. As it is, yes, there are some laws that can still be applied to hold an individual, okay, that are concerned, involved in building collapse. But those things are not really, we are not looking at, we are looking at prevention.
Town Planner David Ganva, a member of the Federal Government Building Code Advisory Committee, however, said that although the code has not been signed into law, the current Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has called for a revision of the code.
The first Nigerian Building Code, we revised that one and submitted to the then minister. There were two other ministers before the present minister. After 2 years, that it was not published. So when Fashola came in, he asked us now, what is the issue? So we told him stage. So we're asked now to review it.
But how soon will this code be implemented?
But I take it that having a building code is one thing. Having the willpower to implement it is another thing.
The current government was thus called upon to look into the matter before leaving office.
We just encourage that this 9th Assembly should help us look into this National Building Code and ensure that they pass it to law before they leave eventually in 2023.
Visit Housing TV Africa on YouTube and click on the subscribe button. Subscribe to Housing TV Africa to stay updated on latest happenings in Nigeria's housing sector. Follow our social media pages, like and share our posts on Facebook, Housing Development Program, on Twitter, Housing Program, on Instagram @Housing Program. Join the conversation and keep up with latest housing updates.
And that is it on today's episode of Housing Development. Thanks for watching. To catch up on all you've missed or to watch previous episodes of the program, subscribe to the YouTube channel Housing TV Africa. Do remember to follow us on all social media platforms. I remain Flora Ani, your housing diva. Do stay safe out there.